I have 624 individual cards, 74% of all Super Nintendo USA releases.
There's also some obscure peripherals.
11, 12, 13, 14. One of the things I always like to get was ridiculous and crazy controllers. Yeah, this looks like Harvest Moon. 6 Space Invaders games. Super Noah's Ark 3D. These are super collectible nowadays. I think it's like a Game Genie.
JuntSNES, JuntSNES.
JuntSNES. Frankie, when I was building my collection, one of the things I always like to get was ridiculous and crazy controllers.
There's no shortage of them. They probably can't all be done in one show.
They can't, in fact. For this show, we're gonna be looking at your basic controllers, your regular ones, and then we're gonna have another show with joystick controllers, joystick arcade style controllers. And we've got some weirdos, let me tell you here.
Keith, Frankie.
And me, of course. I'm the biggest weirdo in the room. This is actually my favorite Super Nintendo controller. This is a UK one. This isn't very special, it's just special to me. It's Super Nintendo marked, but it's got the 4 color buttons, and I love that styling. This has the darker gray plastic of the UK Super Nintendo, and of course you can use this on anyone, but I just love those color buttons. I think they're just the bee's knees. Did you know all the British games are actually slower than the US games? Because it's 60 hertz in the US, it's 50 over there. In order to sync up with the TV, they just made all the games slower, so everything's a little easier in Britain. Let's start right down the end there, Frankie, and we're gonna try these all out too. This is a Super Game Boy controller. This was designed to play with your Super Game Boy to give you the kind of aesthetic of a Game Boy.
So they were like, if the Super Nintendo controller isn't good enough, which it totally is,
Yeah.
play with a controller that kind of looks like a Game Boy, but has way more buttons.
This controller doesn't have an L and R button. In the Super Game Boy, those actually had special functions. L was mute, R was window, and then you had the color and the speed. And they actually put the buttons in a way that's easy to press them. So if you were a super fan of the Super Game Boy, this would be the controller for you. And of course your A-B button and even a little fake speaker grill. You can use it as a regular controller. It's got the A-B, X, Y in the right positions. You can switch back and forth, Super Game Boy or Super Famicom. I don't think this one would be too bad to play with.
Doesn't look
so.
like it'd be as comfortable as Super Nintendo.
It's a little squarish and dumpy. Keith, give it a try.
I mean, it's the type of thing that if I got it as a kid, I'd love it because I wanted to love it because
Yes.
someone bought it for me or I spent my
Yeah.
allowance on it.
This was actually the only one that was styled in any way to be like something else. Nowadays, we have that all over the place.
One that people really enjoy is the Game Boy SP that looks like an NES controller.
Yes, yep. So this is an interesting one. This is a Super SN Pad Pro. And this was a third-party controller that was released. And this one is actually brand new. It has never been taken out of its box, and we're gonna take it out today.
You figure the seal's already broken, you're okay opening the box.
Yeah, well, I actually broke the seal today. I thought it was a fake seal. It was an accident. It had a little damage to the seal right here, and I thought this happened a lot when I bought my collection, is people would take things that were in pretty good shape, box them up, seal them, but this was actually an original seal. Doesn't really matter too much. It's not that rare.
Slight detour on seals. The first DVD we made of our first movie, we decided to seal them,
Yep.
and we put them in the little bags, and then you blow dried them.
Did we really?
To seal them, yeah, you set this all up for us.
It was shrink film.
Yeah, shrink
Okay.
film. Probably like a third of the people said that their DVDs didn't play.
because right inside, there's a packing date here, 21 December 1992. Where were you 21 December 1992?
I was 6.
You were 6? Did you
Yeah.
have a Super Nintendo at that time?
I probably did have a Super Nintendo
Yeah.
at the time.
And this is the first time it's been out of its box since 1992. This is a really
That's cool
cool
looking.
controller. It's got your transparent styling from the 90s.
That was the thing back then, was like, want to see through it, want to see all the bits.
You
And
know,
I
I
actually love
still like that look.
Really?
The D-pad is a little
It's a little weird.
It's a little weird.
We should actually give this one a try out, see how the feel actually is.
What's all these switches?
So you can have off, which is just you press, semi-auto, which is automatic when you press it, hold it down, and auto, which it just hits continuously. Let's take a quick look at that next one right up the line, Frankie.
This one is one of the funkier ones.
This is a NTT data pad. The only thing I can seem to find on it is talking about how it was for the NTT data modem for the Super Nintendo, which was a modem in Japan which lets you call into services and browse it on your Super Nintendo.
The NDK-10 controller works like an ordinary controller. 16-bit extra clock cycles are required to retrieve the additional button bits.
I think that the idea was you could type in phone numbers and jump to references very quickly and
okay.
easily. It is pretty cool to just have so many extra buttons.
The main buttons and the D-pad are kind of spaced a little bit further from the normal Super Nintendo. Is that a little uncomfortable?
Actually, for me, it's kind of comfy.
I think that the Wii nunchuck kind of proved that like distance from each other isn't really something
That's
that-
true. It's actually not not that bad.
No.
And I do have a couple of these different 5-player adapters. This is one of the most famous one. This is the Hudson Super Multitabs. And this goes in controller port 2, and then you hook up to 4 other controllers. I know some Hudson games support 4 controllers, so we'll definitely have to give that a try. And then we've got 2 different versions of the Tribal Tap. They all have switches that let you select between 1 and 2 if you want the 2-player or all the way to 5 players. And finally, we have this Super 5 Play, also in its original box. Again, the selection, 3 to 5 players or 2 players.
Did the Super Nintendo, when it was built, know that you could maybe have up to 5 controllers, or was this done like on a software level? How does it know that Y button press is for Y1 and not Y5?
What it actually does is it actually cycles through the controllers really fast and reads them. It's continuously strobing the controllers over and over again. You actually are getting 1/4 of the response time out of these controllers.
Okay.
I wonder if we'll feel it.
Yeah, we'll have to give it a try and see. Next, we've got this wacky one. It is really uncomfortable.
Like, I'd have to think this was comfortable.
I don't know the point of it.
I mean, it's got this nice hand grip on this side, which is cool.
To give you extra control. You have to twist your whole hand
Yeah, to
for
get
the
it
button
around.
part. You have to twist your wrist.
I could imagine maybe like this in player 1 and another thing in player 2, and then trying to give you some sort of immersive.
Some kind of immersive.
Some kind of immersive. Imagine trying to play like Super Metroid. I gotta now target and I gotta shoot my super missile.
The next one I want to talk about, this is just the big brother of this one down the bottom. This is the SN Pro Pad, and this is the SN Program Pad. This one you can actually program in up to 3 functions that you program into the controller, and then it can execute that move.
You could have it slightly play some of the game for you.
You totally can. I remember Gary had one of these, my friend Gary. We used to actually program in Mortal Kombat moves.
Can you hotkey with this?
Yeah, you get 3 hotkeys.
That's amazing, so you can always get your fatality on.
I've got a couple of these really weird devices. This one, you plug it in, and then you plug a controller in the front, and then you can add functions to your controller. You can auto, you can steer, thrash, pro, clone, or turbo. And you have a reset button and a slow button. And they had this for multiple platforms. They had it for Genesis and Super Nintendo. Next one I have is this ASCII Turbo File Twin. I think this is a Japanese one. I think this has something to do with saving games. This STF button, and then you can change it to 5 other positions, and then a protect on and off. So it seems like a saving backup device that runs via the controller. So it's kind of an interesting idea. Finally, this is a new in box, and the box is falling apart because it's 30 years old. Jet Fighter controller, and this is for both Super Nintendo and Sega Genesis, and this is not a licensed controller. It clearly says for worldwide use.
For when you want your controller experience to just be absurd.
It is an utterly ridiculous controller.
It advertises comfortable space-age grip action.
I remember this controller was pretty expensive because it was pretty rare. It comes with a nice selection of stickers too, including the numbers 0 to 9 repeated twice. 2 Jet Fighter stickers.
If you wanted your call sign to be like Mobius 1.
And it's got 3 stickers with the manufacturer name, which is definitely what I want on my Jet Fighter.
I love it's in the shape of like a stealth bomber, and it's like, here's lightning bolts to decorate it with.
Yeah.
It's time to give some of these a try, don't you think?
Give them their due. So I've decided to play with this twisty one. We've decided that Mario Kart for Super Nintendo is what we're gonna play. I'll be Toad. I'm very confused by LNR being part of part of the button set.
Oh geez,
That's me.
it's me. Oh wait a minute, what's this down the bottom? Hold on. There, I found it.
Mine is, I hate to say it, it's not that bad.
Actually, this control's playing really nice.
Well, okay, here's one problem, Keith. I have to use my index finger to use LNR. How do you relinquish items? Okay, yeah, it sucks.
Well, the both of you, first and second place.
This one is, meanwhile, is really nice, actually. It has a great feel. The buttons are working excellently. Frank is winning. It's not fair.
Why am I winning with this controller? Shame on you. Do you want to try this thing?
Yeah, sure.
I'm gonna swap over to another one. This is the number pad. Whoa.
Luigi's just hopping.
It's much harder to control Luigi when he's constantly jumping.
It feels in character to me.
And I'm sure that's a function of the fact that this controller is supposed to be read totally differently than we're reading it.
What are you supposed to do to make it work properly?
I think it's just not designed for this game at all. And I can't attain maximum speed when in full jump either. None of the buttons actually do anything. I can't use items at all.
So you're pressing every other of the 27 buttons on that thing.
I'm really floundering over here with this jump-based
you're doing
controller.
okay.
Well, look, I'm not even gonna get there. I'm in the ocean. I like that I'm still continuously just jumping.
Okay, 2 new controllers, please.
2 new controllers. We should definitely try the fighter pad. I'm actually gonna put a controller into this thing. This is that box that supposedly will modify your controller to add cool functions.
Imagine getting that for Christmas. I guess you'd probably love it.
It beeps.
Beep. Auto, steer, thrash, pro, reset.
It's certainly making some fun
Does that
sounds.
have a function, or is that just lighting
It's
up?
just lighting.
It's not like an infrared.
This is lighting up on the controller strobe signal, which is really fun. So every time it's polling the controller, it's actually flashing.
It's a better toy than it is a controller.
All right, Keith, we've got Contra 3 Alien Wars. I've got my regular controller through this ridiculous device that we don't quite understand.
Whoa, I'm already bombing stuff.
This thing's talking.
Oh, God.
What is going on?
Turbo is on. I'm going to change this to thrash.
Okay.
Because it moved over to steer. It went back
No,
to
it's
steer.
definitely me who's causing this.
There must be another function button up the top. I think it's a problem with the turbo switch. Okay, I think the switch is just a little flaky in its old age.
Oh, I'm not so sure.
John, is your controller strange with
it
this
seems
hookup?
perfectly normal. Change an option, Keith.
All right, we're going to put you on Pro.
Nothing.
Nothing,
No?
nothing new happened.
Everything keeps moving
I'm
back
already
to
gone.
steer.
What the hell is this thing? It seems to have absolutely no effect.
It feels all right. I mean, I'm doing okay.
The program pad. It looks like it has a little LCD display, too.
It does.
Reminds me of Dreamcast.
The little Tamagotchi thing.
Yeah, a little Chow from
Yeah.
Sonic.
So, is it time to play a 5-player game?
Yes. Ready? 4 players. Here we go. I don't know how to play this game at all.
It's actually working.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
Oh, you pick up another. This is actually kind of fun.
Oh, you can hurt yourself.
Oh,
so you gotta,
yeah, don't hurt yourself.
You gotta steer clear of your own bomb. So I'm just dead, I guess. Forgive me if there's a lot of Super Bomberman people out there. Apparently none of us are Super Bomber men.
A key strategy of this game is getting out of the way of the explosion. Does it feel pretty good?
Yes,
It feels good.
yeah, it feels normal. And this Super Game Boy one, which I'm now playing with, it was fine.
This game's pretty cool.
All right, well, that's it.
So what did we learn? There's a lot of controllers and they're all really weird.
And you can totally just buy normal controllers. Given that there are 4-player games out there, and we had fun playing one, maybe picking up a multi-tap wouldn't be such a bad idea.
This was a lot of fun. I've never used one before. It worked really well, and that game was pretty fun. Frankie, sometimes when you got a Super Nintendo collection, just like I have all these controllers, you just have some rare things. That'll be next time on JuntSNES.